Hello everyone. This video is a part of my Docker deployment in public cloud series. In this video, we'll talk about deploying the voting application in the AWS ECS. So I have created a GitHub page which captures the steps in a lot more detail. AWS ECS is a managed container service from AWS. So in this, there is a good integration between the Docker containers along with the services that AWS provides, and this includes integration with the load balancer that includes both the ELB as well as the application load balancer, the logging service, the CloudFormation templates, the security groups. So a whole bunch of integration that is automatically provided between the containers and the VM instances as well as the other AWS services. In addition, so here the services are represented as a JSON file. This is like something little proprietary with the AWS. This is equivalent to the way Docker services are represented using compose files. To make it easier, AWS has also provided compatibility so that we can run the Docker compose files directly on the ECS service. There are some restrictions in terms of the options that AWS ECS allows. With ECS, we don't have the regular Docker Swarm mode for the orchestration. Amazon has its own scheduler with which the orchestration is done. ECS installs agents in each node of the cluster, which allows the the scheduling and the maintenance to be done. So roughly there are three steps in terms of deploying this voting application. The first step is the creation of the IAM role for the EC2 service to manage the cluster. The second step would be the creation of the cluster itself, and here is where we specify the type of the nodes that we want to create, the role that we have created in the previous step, the number of nodes, etc. So when we do this, ECS will automatically install the agents and create a cluster. The third step would be the deploying the application. The deploying the application contains of three steps. First is the creation of the task itself. So first the tasks are created, and the tasks can be created either from the ECS GUI or using the ECS CLI. So here first we set the context to the cluster that we created in the previous step. And then we can use ECS CLI compose to create and deploy the application. The second step after we create the tasks would be the creation of the load balancer itself. Once we create the load balancer, we can create the services on top of the tasks that we created in the previous step and attach them to the load balancer. So, currently I'm in the AWS ECS service page. So I've already created a cluster. I've already created a task in the service. So we'll just walk through the the different pages involved here. So here I have a Docker cluster with 2 container instances, and I have a Docker compose file that I've deployed, and there is one service I've deployed on top of that. Just to illustrate, how do we start from there. The first step would be the creation of the cluster itself. So first we specify the cluster name, the type of the instance type, the number of instances. So in the particular example, I've used 2 as a number of instances. Either we can use the existing VPC or we can create a new VPC. So this is for the security group, and here is where we use the IAM instance role that we created earlier. So in this case, I have created the AWS ECS container instance role, and so this would pretty much create the cluster. And if you want to click on the Docker here, so we can see the ECS instances. So these are the 2 ECS instances that are running. So we can also see the instances that are running from the CLI as well. For that, the first step would be to set the cluster to the the cluster name that we created in the previous step. I've already done that. So after that, we can check what are the container instances that are running. So here we see the 2 container instances that we created earlier. So to deploy the compose file, we use this particular command. So this is the compose file that we have used here. So take a note that we have used the version 2 of the compose file because ECS does not support version 3. Version 3 is specific to the swarm mode, which ECS does not support. And another thing is, like, we have not used the networks and the volumes. That is another thing that ECS is not supporting. So the only way we can talk between containers is using the links approach. So I've already deployed the tasks here. So now we can look at the tasks that are running here under the tasks tab here. So if you go to the task definition page, we can see the details of the task itself. So the compose file is kind of converted into the AWS task definition format. So that is what we would see here. So if you want, actually we can even do the build, and here we can see the 5 containers that are created using the compose. So at this point, after the tasks are created, we can actually access the services as long as the containers are exposed in the host machine. So for example, we have exposed the OAuth OAuth container in port 5000. So we have exposed as long as the security groups as the port 5000 exposed, we can use the public, any of the 2 instances public IP address, and we can access the OAuth service itself. So that is like I've already done this using the port 5000 here. So the next step would be, like, if you want to expose this service from outside world, we can create a load balancer, either ELB or an ALB load balancer, and expose create service which is tied to the load balancer itself. So here I've already created a load balance, an application load balancer, and I have tied that to the OAuth1 target group, which is exposing the port 5000. So I created this service votingapp. So if you click here, we see that I needed 2 instances of this service, and as part from the load balancing perspective, I have tied this to the OAuth1 target group, which is the application load balancer that we created earlier. And at this point, we would be able to access the service using the load balancer if we use the external address that the load balancer exposes, that we can find from the load balancer's public address, which is this is the ELB address, and I have tried to access the ELB here. So there are a lot of restrictions with the ECS service. The tasks and services are not very properly defined. All the containers in a single task always have to be scheduled in the same node. The usage of Docker Compose is very limited. Hopefully these will be addressed soon by the ECS service by the AWS folks. Thanks for watching.